Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Making an Impact with Zebu Nation. And today we have for you the 2022 Preseason Spectacular. That's right, the patented Preseason Spectacular is back, better than ever. You know, probably, maybe, probably not actually better than ever, but it will be at least the same as it always has been. Anyway, in case you missed last season, let's take a look back. We did win the Western Conference in 2021. We did not win the Supporters' Shield. We lost to Colorado by 3 points. But then, of course, we went on in the playoffs. We won MLS Cup 3-2 in spectacular fashion over Portland. Tremendous comeback victory. And so we're coming into this season with great expectations. We've won a championship. You know, the board is going to be crazy with those expectations. So we got to get ready for another tough season in MLS. We got a good team coming back, very good team coming back. And we made a few new additions to that as well. Hopefully you saw the MLS Draft Spectacular where I showed you our new picks for the MLS Draft. But if you missed it, we'll go over those guys as well. So we'll start off the way we always do, going down the checklist. And let's start off with the academy. We did get a new youth intake, but our academy is looking pretty slim. You know, 4 years of cherry-picking players out of the academy has left us with a dearth of players here. We've even got some grayed-out players, some scrubbinis in the academy. So we got to work on rebuilding the academy. This year's class did a little bit for rebuilding, but we still got a long ways to go. In terms of youth and potential, you know, we got no 15-year-olds of any value. 16-year-olds, we've got Richard Beckwith, defensive midfielder, probably the best prospect at the academy right now. Good mentals, nice teamwork, positioning, stuff like that. 14 tackling, very good for a youngster his age, at only 16 years old. Physically, he could stand to be a little better, but for the most part, he's a very solid prospect. You know, we're not going to bring him up to the first team anytime soon, but, you know, as a guy to develop, this is good material to develop. He's English, so he's got some English heritage. I don't know how that's going to affect him. Maybe he'll get signed by some English team out from underneath us. Hopefully not, but that has happened before with players with European heritage, so we're going to have to watch out for that. Next up, we got Tristan Berdusco, 3-star potential, Canadian, so that's good, 16 years old. He's pretty decent. He's a defensive fullback. He's kind of got what we need in defensive fullback. He's tall. He's got good strength and jumping reach. He could use a little better acceleration and agility and stuff like that. Decisions, bravery, aggression, and tackling. Again, more tackling. You know we like that. This guy could get a little bit out of control with that aggression. His marking is okay. His heading is very bad. So we got to work on this kid technically. But again, he's a decent prospect. Then prospects start to get a little thin from there. Marco Foster has the best potential, but he's not. He's only a 1-star player right now at 16 years old. So he's got a long way to go, and in my experience, these 1-star players never really develop. Physically, he's not great. Mentally, he's got a couple of decent abilities, but for the most part, not very good. Same technically, he's got one good skill technically, which is his marking. Other than that, he's got a long way to go. 16 years old. Hopefully, he can, in maybe 4 or 5 years, he might be ready to be a backup. I don't know. We'll see. Ed Robinson is another guy, or Eric Robinson, 17 years old now. He's a guy, he's been at the academy for a couple of seasons now, but, he is improving. 17 years old. He's a big, strong central defender, 14 strength, 6'4", decent jumping reach. Again, outstanding tackling. I don't know what our youth coaches are doing, but they are teaching tackling like nobody's business. Again, pretty good mentals, very aggressive. Our youth coaches are being very, very aggressive with these kids and teaching them just to, release the hounds and go murder people. But anyway, he's got some potential. Other than that, a lot of these guys are very, very much on the fence. We got two guys who are currently in the Canadian under-20 team, Maxime Argento and Xavier Aubry. Both 18 years old. Aubry's central defender. You know, strong kid, not very tall, good leader. But other than that, not a lot going for this 18-year-old. And Maxime Argento, also 18 years old, pretty good physically, target man. You know, nice teamwork. Technically, he leaves a lot to be desired. So I don't know how much room we have for these guys. Probably not much. Maybe we could bring Argento up because he does have 2-star ability. He's like, you look at this guy, he's like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick in the MLS Super Draft. So maybe it might be worth to just have him on the roster just for backup purposes. But, you know, we'll see. He's limited. Anyway, we'll move on to finances. $20 million in the bank. We're looking good. We're looking solid. Even though we've been paying for some stuff, you know, we've had some upgrades and some improvements, but we still have plenty of cash. Salary cap, payroll is under control. We're spending half our payroll right now, so that's no problem. Still have some transfer budget left, $2.4 million. We're looking good. In terms of MLS type stuff, plenty of allocation money. We've used a little bit of it since the start of the season. Used, you know, more than half of it. Started at $1.9 million. Still have a good amount available though, $600,000. We can use this money to buy down contracts once we get closer to the roster deadline day. And then targeted allocation money. Also, we've used a little bit of that, but we still have enough available to sign at least one more high-profile player. So we've got some definite flexibility with the roster if we need it. So financially, the club is looking very sound. Board, we're very secure with the board, 60%. That's the best we've ever started a season. So that's good. Hopefully it'll just go up from here. We've got a couple of board requests that have come and gone, and improved data facilities again. But now, this season, we are expanding the ground. And it's looking like that's going to be finished in 2 months. So that's pretty good. Pretty outstanding. So that's where most of our money has gone and most of our loans has gone. I think that costs, you know, a couple $1,000,000 to expand the stadium. And what's gone along with that is we've started to sell more season tickets. I don't know if we can see that maybe in the club somewhere. If anybody knows where you can see season tickets, hit me up. There we go. Season ticket holders. Right now we got 8,700. We got an email that predicted we'll have over 10,000 this season. So that's good. That's like nearing halfway of the stadium will be season ticket holders. So we're looking very good after 4 seasons. We got the highest reputation in MLS, even though we're still only 3 stars. We're still highest reputation in MLS. So it's starting to pay off. Starting to, you know, let us expand the stadium. Starting to get us more ticket holders, stuff like that. Had some interesting side effects elsewhere, too. We'll take a look at elsewhere. Now, of course, the big news from the offseason, the thing everybody wants to see, transfers. And we got 2 future transfers coming in. You can see they're both joining in July, which is the summer transfer window for MLS. So we're not actually buying these guys. We're signing them at the end of their contract. We're using that 6-month rule. Forgot the name of it, named after some player. I can't remember now. But anyway, we're using that rule to sign these guys at the end of their contract. You know, they get 6 months before the end of a contract. You can sign somebody up. So that's what we did. First of all, from Benfica in Portugal, signed Zaharaddin Bello, 24-year-old central defender, Nigerian. He's got 19 caps and 1 goal for Nigeria, so he's another international player. He's pretty good. 6'4", very good physicals. Mentals, he has it where you kind of need it for central defender. Positioning, decision-making, anticipation, And then the same thing technically, tackling, marking, heading, all very good for MLS. Now, what's interesting about this guy is he looks a lot like players that we can get from America, right? He looks a lot like a super draft player. He looks a lot like one of our academy players, just a little bit better all the way around. A little bit better physically, a little bit better mentally, and a little bit better technically. But other than that, we're used to having this kind of player who's strictly a central defender, strictly going to stop the ball, play defense, and that's all we need back there. He'll be he can be a rotational player or a starter for us, depending on, how the rotation works out. So confident this guy will fit in with the team just fine. A little less confident with this fella here. Derek O.C. got him from Toulouse in France. He's a winger. Don't necessarily know that we need another winger. We've got a lot of wingers. But bringing him in anyway on a free. He's pretty good. Our scouting report is a little old on him now, so we've lost our knowledge on him. But, he's got good pace, decent mentals where it counts, work rate, flair for a winger. Very good technicals, technique, passing, heading, first touch, finishing. He's got all the skills that we need. And we needed a little bit more of a skillful winger. So bringing in OC, he's going to be a reserve for us. And, hopefully he won't disrupt things very much. Hopefully he'll take his reserve role and run with it. And as you know, at the middle of the season, you never know what's going to happen with injuries. I'm also a little concerned we could lose some guys to the transfer market. So this is just more insurance for the upcoming season. These two guys are basically insurance policies. If anything happens to our central defenders, if anything happens to our wingers, we got it covered, no problem. Now we can take a look at the whole transfer history here. You can see our other incoming players were draftees. Hopefully you saw the preseason MLS draft special, but if not, we picked up Sana Dabo via the end of season waiver draft from DC United. They let this young man go. Guinea-Bissau, which is interesting. We picked up a scout from Guinea-Bissau, and he's the one who recommended this guy. He said, hey, we should draft this guy. So I looked at him. He's not necessarily what we normally like in terms of physicality. He's a small guy, 5'5", not very strong and all that. He's got decent pace for a midfielder, decent mental attributes. He's got some determination, some leadership. Vision and work rate are pretty good. But then technically he's kind of got it where it counts in terms of technique, passing, and first touch. He's got a little bit of tackling and marking too, so he can play a little bit of that defensive role that we need him to play. So we need our midfielders to be offensive and defensive players. He's obviously much better with the ball at his foot making passes and finding teammates, but he can play enough defense that we can make it work. So I think this guy will be a good reserve for us. And at only 20 years old, he's got room to improve as well. And he's very cheap, $70,000, working on a senior minimum contract, so no problems there. Then we went through the MLS Super Draft. We had 3 first-round picks. Our first-round pick, Hector Valenzuela, striker, 21 years old, Generation Adidas player. He's got that speed that we need. Very good mentals as well. Teamwork, off the ball, determination, a little bit of flair, a little bit of composure. Looking good. And then technically as well. He's got a little bit of everything. He doesn't have any one great stat, but he's got a lot of 12s and 13s in there. Technique, heading, free kick taking. It's an interesting for your striker to be your free kick taker. That's not a bad deal. Finishing and dribbling are pretty good. He can even do a little bit from the corner, so that's fine. We need more specialty players. We need players who can take free kicks, penalty taking, that kind of stuff. Just need more of those kind of players, and Valenzuela can give us a little bit of that. Also, he's ambitious, which is why we chose to pick him with our I think he was 9th overall, but our first pick. We chose him over some other high-quality players because of that ambition because I thought he would fit in well with our young, aggressive team. And then next, we picked up Aaron Leonard, I think was our next pick, with the 14th or 15th pick. Another winger, 5'10", decent speed, decent mentals, decent technicals where it counts, technique, another free kick taker. Crossing is what we really need. We need more wingers who can cross the ball. So Leonard can do that. His only problem, his real drawback, is that right now he's a midfielder. He's not necessarily an attacking midfielder, so we're training him up to be a bit more attacking and to move forward. So hopefully he can do that and make that transition fairly seamlessly. And then with our final pick, the last pick in the first round, we picked up Rodrigo Cervantes, 21-year-old, another 21-year-old, valued at $1 million already. Decent physicals, not very strong or athletic in that way, but he's got some quickness and some speed. He's got some decent mentals, some flair, and again, determined. We like these determined players. Fairly professional attitude, so he's going to come in and hopefully integrate with the team well. But then he's got that technique, got a little bit of passing, a little bit of first touch. And he can play, he's very versatile. He can play all around the midfield. He can even play center mid, attacking center mid, left or right wing. Experimented in the preseason making him a playmaker on the left wing. That was very interesting, especially in our 4-2-4 attacking formation. Got the ball to him a lot, and he was able to make some plays. So it's interesting to give, just changing one player and changing his role can give our tactic a whole different feel. So that's, just his versatility, I think, made that pick worth it. And then finally, we actually made a move. We actually spent some money and brought in a guy. I don't know if you know him, Liam Boyce. Brought him over from Burton Albion. He's from Northern Ireland, 30 years old. Take a look at his history. Played for Cliftonville in Northern Ireland, then moved to the SPL, played for Ross County over there in Scotland. And since then, he's been in the League One and Championship division with Burton Albion over there in England. So he never quite reached Premier League level, but he's got pretty good abilities. He's got, at least MLS abilities. Decent physicals for 31 or 30-year-old. Still let his physicals stand strong. 3.5-star player. It's pretty good MLS level right there. Mentals are very good. He's got that determination, decisions, bravery, aggression, all that kind of stuff. We can use him as a tutor to tutor a lot of our young wingers, definitely. And then technically, he's got technique, finishing, first touch, heading, so he can be a target man for us. Big thing, though, we have ourselves a penalty taker. Look at this, 17 penalties and 16 finishing. Anytime we need to score a goal, hopefully this guy, we'll put him on the spot and let him take the kick. Because, it doesn't get much better than that in MLS. So, again, we needed some specialty players. We got a specialty player. He wants to be a designated player. He wants to have a key contract and be a key player. So we're going to have to start him. Now, do we start him at target man? Most likely. But he can also play out on the wing. Can be a wide target man on either side, or a Raumdeuter. Raumdeuter? I don't exactly know how you pronounce that. Some sort of German word. But anyway, he can be, he can be an attacker from any position, basically. Maybe even, center mid, make him a shadow striker or something. I don't know. But again, a guy we didn't necessarily need, but he was available. He looked pretty good. Fairly cheap, $1.9 million. And we had a lot of money to spend. So our team didn't need much, but we added pieces anyway just to give us some depth. And I think we can really make a run now at the Supporters' Shield. We have no weaknesses. Maybe. But, we can definitely we can definitely do some stuff with this depth that we got. Anyway, in terms of players leaving, not a lot of players of importance left. A lot of youngsters. We dropped a lot of youngsters. Mitrovic, Pantami. You know, might pick him up. We're a little thin at fullback. We only have 4 fullbacks. 5 if you count Duverne. We're going to be playing Duverne maybe at central defense this year. I don't know. We still haven't decided exactly what to do with Duverne. But anyway, Pantami was a little bit expendable. He hasn't signed a contract anywhere else yet, so we can pick him up for free and bring him back in. But as of now, he is out. Blanc is out. Marical, Matthew Maddock, we didn't really do much with him. Barbier is out. Connor Putna, really didn't do much with him. Yeah, just sort of an academy guy that we brought up. Alex Horvath, our reserve goalkeeper, is gone. But then the big signing in the offseason, the reason why we had so much transfer money is that Junior Ramos finally left us. Atlas came and picked him up from the Mexican League. They finally paid his $4 million release clause, and we had to let him go. The board just let him go because they paid the release clause. So Junior Ramos, one of our team leaders, one of the heart and soul of the midfield, is gone. Good player for us, but not irreplaceable. We'll look at that in a minute. And then we sent a bunch of guys out on loan, of course. Ferreira, Garner, Brune, Daniels, Benzaza, Brian Haynes. A lot of these guys are midfielders. You know, Daniel, Benzaza are both midfielders. Some central defenders in there, some strikers. So we got, you know, even more depth if we want to bring some of these young guys back on loan. So I don't have many problems with our depth at all. Scouting, there's not much to talk about here except last season I complained a lot about our scouting and say we didn't scout very well at all. And I blamed it on my scouts, and I let a couple of scouts go and brought in a couple of new scouts. But then I realized that at some point during the season, I don't remember when, we had sort of dropped our packages. We lost our packages in the mail. So we weren't scouting any youth packages or senior packages. So that's why our scouting was so bad. So at the beginning of this season, I purchased some new scouting packages. We're going North American with our scouting. And scouting has been much improved this off season, so that's good news. I guess we can look. We looked at the board, looked at the club for the most part. Not much has happened here. Facilities, do they have our upgrade on there yet? Capacity. So currently our capacity is reduced by 1,600 as we're, making those upgrades. So we should be, I think our capacity will be up over 20,000 after the completion of our upgrade. Let's see, transfers, scouting, anything else? Medical center, we don't have anything serious brewing in the medical center. Staff, as I mentioned, we still got one of the best staffs. Kept them all together in terms of coaching staff. Brought in a couple of new scouts. Don't remember exactly. I think it was these last two. Bruno Priera. There's our guy from Guinea-Bissau. 19 adaptability, 13 judging ability, 13 player potential. So that's not great, but that's actually pretty good for MLS. Like, it's hard to get a guy much better than that in MLS. Especially when I was looking for specific people. I was looking for people basically who could speak French. And, so that they could integrate with the staff a little better. So he was pretty good. And he's got full knowledge of France, which is huge. Because we scout France quite a bit. So to have a guy who's already got full knowledge of that is outstanding. And then we've got Larry Mahana. 38-year-old Lebanese. Now, he's not that great. Only 10 adaptability, 11 judging ability and potential. But I picked this guy up because He also has knowledge of USA and France, two of the places that we scout quite a bit. In Lebanon, which I don't think we've ever scouted or ever will scout, but if we do, Larry is all over it. But I was listening to the 5-Star podcast, and they were talking about scouts and hiring scouts, and one of the things that one of the guys on there mentioned was picking guys who had knowledge of their region. And I'd never looked at that before. Never even cared. I'd always just looked at the numbers. What's his ability? But, it makes sense in a real-world way. Like, the way scouting often works isn't just you go out and you find the best players. A lot of times it's your network. It's who do you know? Do you know the youth coaches in the area? Do you know people who will call you up and say, hey, come look at this kid, right? Because it's hard to know every kid in the entire world, much less, every kid in an entire nation, especially a nation as big as the United States. So if you've got a network of coaches in that country who will call you up and tell you, look at this guy, I got a good kid who might be MLS quality, that could actually be more valuable than a guy's actual ability to scout. So it's not a terrible idea to look at what their knowledge level is in different areas around the world. So we're trying a different tactic with these new scouts we brought in, and we'll see if that makes a difference. I don't know. We'll see. Medical staff stayed mostly the same. We still got the best. This always happens. Like, no matter who you sign, you always got the best staff, I don't know, in the league. It just seems like the computer teams don't really put an emphasis on signing great coaches. They just sort of sign whoever, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what they're doing. But anyway, that's where we're at. All right, is there anything else we need to look at? Dynamics. Good, very good leadership support. A little bit of concern. Duvern might be looking to move on. And I got to say, we won a championship without him last year. So I don't know that we need him. And if he wants to go, if we can move him for a decent price, I'm okay moving him. Mendy might need to leave for first-team soccer. Yeah. I mean, we keep him around just because he's Canadian, just because he's super fast, just because he's played on the national team at the under-23 level when we coached the under-23. So we got some sentimental attachment to Irwin. But if he wants to leave, it's fine. It's fine. No great loss. We got plenty of dudes to replace both of these guys. Hierarchy, we're a little thin. You look at here, we're a little sort of antenna-shaped up top. I don't like that. We got two team leaders, essentially. We got Kyle Laren and Thiago, the goalkeeper. Other than that, we just got some influential players. So we really need to focus on building some more leaders and putting more guys in leadership positions. Hopefully guys like Andre and Petrasso and Lopez, as they're getting more and more playing time, they're going to continue to move up and up this ladder. As you can see, Boyce, the guy we brought in, is already sort of in an influential position. We're going to get what we can out of him. I don't think his leadership is very good. No, his leadership is 5, so honestly, you just stay right there. But other than that, leadership's a little thin. We got to work on that. Social groups, we're fine. This is fine. No problems here. Not a lot of stuff going awry. Happiness also pretty good. Just those couple of concerns, Duvern and Mendy. Other than that, everybody is super green. And there we go. So what do we got? Well, we got competitions and we got expectations. Major League Soccer, win the MLS. That's our expectation from the board. Win the Supporter Shield. That's our expectations. And then Canadian Championship, not important. They don't care at all. But I got a problem with that. Because I just recently found out something I hadn't really thought about or realized in all the time that I've been playing FM. is that a Canadian team cannot make the North American Champions League by winning MLS. Only by winning the Canadian Championship can a Canadian team make the Champions League. So that's very disheartening. So we're going to have to put, I think, a little bit more effort into winning the Canadian Championship so that we can get into Champions League. Because otherwise, this save's going to start to get a little, repetitive, where we're just winning MLS Cup every year, and that's it. So we're going to have to, set our sights a little higher and maybe aim for that Canadian Championship so we can get in and try and win, a higher level of competition. That would be good. Schedule, preseason, we've done pretty well. Undefeated, as you can see, scored lots of goals. We haven't played anybody very good, honestly. And we don't really have anybody very good on our schedule. So we're really, with no Champions League to get ready for, we're really just doing fitness. Fitness. That's all we're doing. That's all we're worried about. And getting ready for the regular season. But something interesting has happened. Something that I haven't been able to do in the past. We finally have been able to take a tour somewhere other than North or South America. And for years we've been sending players over to Iceland. And this preseason they let us take a tour of Iceland. So we've played some teams with mostly unpronounceable names. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't pronounce many of these names. Sindri, that seems like a fairly pronounceable name. But some of these names are so unpronounceable to American palates that that's not how it works. Anyway, they just have initials, IR and KV. But the interesting thing out there, I'm going to show you the highlights to this last game that we played against IR, which are, this doesn't even look like a real letter. I don't know what that is. Is that supposed to be a P? I don't think so. It's some Scandinavian letter. Reykjavikr? That seems sort of pronounceable, but this first word, forget about it. Somebody in the comments, let me know how you pronounce that. Where's old lady plays when we need her? To pronounce that is insanity. Anyway, professional team, been around since 1907. Pretty good. They've been in the first division mostly for the last 2 decades. So they're a pretty good team over there in Iceland. Not the worst. But anyway, let's take a look at the field, take a look at the goals, because I want to show you something important. We've been sending players over there, like I said, for 4 years now, and it's had an effect. We got some fans over there. First of all, you look at the stadium. The stands are pretty well filled. Here's Petrasso coming down the near side. Then look at these fans out here. Let's pause it. Look at this away section. Look at all the blue and black. We got a lot of fans who either took the trip all the way to Iceland just to watch us, or, we've started to generate some fans in Iceland. I like to think that, these guys are here to see people like Basic, who's played over at Iceland quite a bit, and some of these other players who've played over there and, made some fans. They've heard about this Montreal Impact team winning championships, thanks to their connections to Iceland. And there we go. We're going to pay them back with a little bit of a tour. There's our new number 1 draft pick, Valenzuela, scoring the goal. And here's that guy, Johnson, our hero from last season, wearing the number 10 jersey in the preseason. Gets it out wide to Valenzuela. Valenzuela's going to send it back. Petrasso to Johnson, another goal. This kid, I don't know what we're going to do with him. He's now 3rd on the depth chart at Target Man. Seems unreasonable to put your leading scorer from the previous season 3rd on the depth chart. And then there's just a terrible defensive mix-up right there. Halderson gets behind the defense and scores, little bit of a late goal, but still. So there you go. We've been playing in Iceland playing well, doing some good stuff. So now we got our final game in Iceland versus, a team, an amateur team. So this is not a team that we're going to really have much of a struggle against. Netsbjørnaflag. Vesturbjar. That's my best attempt at that. But what I like about this team is their uniforms. Look at these uniforms. These are spectacular. These guys, this looks like a Crusader knight has decided to take off his armor and play football. And then we got the pink jersey. Like, we're either Crusader knight or we're Hello Kitty. Either way, we're looking sharp. So I like these guys. I'm sorry what we're going to have to do to these fellas because we got our starting lineup in here. I don't know. I mean, do we want our starting lineup in? I'm not so sure about that. So maybe we should bring in some backups. We're going to bring in Ortiz for Andre. Take him out. We're going to bring in Vasquez for Kyle Laren. Yeah, Erwin Mendy for, I think, D'Alessandro might as well. Leonard for Alberto. Just bring in our guys. Oof, that's not going to work. Let's see if we can flip these two guys. Okay, Leonard's a little better on the right-hand side. That's fine. Cervantes played last game. Mendez, we don't need to bring him in there just yet. Shamit Shom needs some playing time. Put him in there with Lopez. Or for Lopez, I should say. And then we got our new man, Boyce, up here. Now, he's only going to play the half because he's, coming off a little bit of an injury. But, of course, we got our man Johnson coming off the bench, so no problems there. And then I guess we don't need Thiago in there. We can bring in our third goalkeeper, Montero, the academy player. Bring him in. And there we go. All right. Again, you'll see formation number 2. We played formation number 2 all preseason just because we've been playing against, inferior squads. There's our away group. They have, packed the stadium once again. They followed us all around the country on this little tour. Meanwhile, they're going a little defensive with the, the happy face formation here. We'll see. So we got Montero in goal, Dasovic, Valo at the fullbacks, Jaguar and Chevalier in central defense. You saw Ortiz and Shamit Shom, Mendy, Leonard, Boyce, and Vasquez up top. And we don't know anything about these guys. Half these guys don't have pictures. I mean, I have a face pack loaded, but I guess even that face pack has its limits to amateur teams from Iceland. I guess don't get pictures. Anyway, hand this over to the assistant. Let's go. Nice little stadium for an amateur club. I mean, they got, 4 grandstands. Going to open up my cold-pressed orange juice with a little bit of coconut water. Take a drink. We can be a little informal in the preseason. I'll shake that up a little bit. A bit of snowstorm here. Welcome to Iceland. The weather seemed fine for our first couple of games. There's Boyce. There's our new man. Getting double covered. Playing his target man role. Gets it to Ortiz. Shamit Shom dispossessed. Ortiz gets it back. Vasquez out wide to Leonard. Can Leonard get it back post? Oh, he hits the back post. A little miscommunication there. Erwin Mendy taking his sweet time. Gets it to Vasquez. Leonard again. Tackled Vasquez again. We got a whole new front lineup. 4 guys who've never played together. So, except in some training a little bit. So it could be some rough sledding offensively here. Mendy gets it back out wide to Shom. Shom sends it in. Just sends it straight into a pile of players. Ortiz tries a shot from way downtown. This highlight's going on forever. Hopefully they don't hit us with some sort of counterattack. No, Ortiz to Vasquez. He's got Leonard. Leonard's going forward. We're going to use a little bit of that speed. There he goes. Gets it to our new man. There he is. Boyce. Of course, The red-headed Irishman scores in his very first game. Very first, this 2 minutes of play, a minute and a half of play, and he gets his very first goal from our rookie, Leonard. Good pass. I mean, it took him 2 or 3 attempts to get one in the right spot, but he got one there eventually. So that's pretty good. So I don't know how much we're going to learn here in the preseason in terms of how good we are, because we haven't challenged ourselves. Playing all lower division teams. I mean, the best team we played was like the professional team from Iceland. Here's Boyce again. Gets another head on it, but S. Gearson is there. As Gearson? Sure. As Gearson. Why not? He makes the stop. So far, they have 0 shots on target. 0 shots, period. Only 41% possession. Not looking good for the amateur team, which you would expect it wouldn't. Playing against the MLS Cup champion. As you can see here, Boyce a little bit tired. 79%. Hopefully he can make it through to halftime without re-injuring. I think he just had a sprained ankle or something, but you know, those can linger. But I wanted to get him in there. I wanted to show him off in this game particularly. And we're just going to get him out of there. There's his second goal at the 24th minute. So I think he's going to make a pretty good target man. If we can just lob the ball into him against the Crusaders here. I mean, obviously, like I said, this is inferior competition. But there he is, just going up in the middle of 4 defenders. No problems. Even though, like, him getting to the ball isn't going to be that big of a deal in MLS. You know, there are some good defenders in MLS. But my target men get to the ball all the time. Here's Vasquez on the run. Vasquez leading the attack. Drops it back to Leonard. Leonard's going to take it wide, and he's just going to, yeah, okay. So the problem with our target men isn't necessarily getting ahead on the ball amidst defense. It's getting it on target afterwards. It's, you know, putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think Boyce is going to be able to do that pretty easily. Here's Vasquez again leading the attack. He sends it in, tries to get it to Boyce. Triple covered this time. Straight back to Vasquez. Back post to Mendy. Mendy's shot is deflected. Ortiz takes a one-timer from like 50 yards. Well, not exactly 50 yards, but, you know, outside the three-point line for sure. Ortiz doesn't get a lot of playing time. He's another academy player who's just sort of hanging around. 20 years old, 14 tackling. Of course, he comes from our academy. We are the tackling school of North America. Mendy's got an injury. No need to leave him in there. Look at this bench. Look at how strong this bench is. You know, we got Petrasso. Petrasso's probably going to be a starter. I'm going to be honest with you. He's got the starter tag on his contract. He's played very well in the preseason. He's made some very nice passes, some nice partnerships. So he's probably going to be our starter, but for now he's on the bench. And just being able to bring him off the bench is like pretty good depth. All right, closing in on halftime. These guys have actually played us a little tighter than some of the other teams we played against. You know, some of the other teams we played against have been 3 or 4-0 by halftime. So if these guys can keep this score as is, they'll be in pretty good shape compared to the other teams. Here's Valo. Shamit Shom. Let's see what he's going to do from midfield. Distributes it out to Petrasso. We're just sort of playing it with it right now. Back and forth across the field. Leonard now. Shamit plays it wide again this time. Not sure who's going for it. There's Petrasso. Does that count? No. That can't possibly count. Yeah, Petrasso pushing another player. I kind of thought it was Boyce who pushed the goalkeeper, but I don't know. That was funky. That's the funkiest goal I've ever seen. At least, well, yeah, I can say that's the funkiest goal I've ever seen. At least in this version of FM. Let's not get crazy. You know, there have been some wild stuff that happened in other versions of FM, but in this version of FM, it's been mostly contained, like all the wackiness with the goalkeeper. All right. So, tactics. Let's get Boyce out of there. He's done good. Got his 2 goals. No need to risk a further injury. So there we go. You know, we'll just bring in our leading scorer from last season. Why the heck not? Why the heck not? Anybody else we want to take in or out? We could take out Jaguar and bring in Rabat. That's good. That is fine. Let us go. Boyce seemed demotivated. Well, he got substituted out, so sorry, buddy. It's for your own good, for your own health. Maybe he got demotivated because he was on 2 goals. He wanted a hat trick. I don't know. Petrasso just going right around the defense. They're playing very packed in that back line. They looks like they've switched to a 5-man back line now. Leonard tries to send it in. Vasquez. Ortiz. Oh, Ortiz doesn't take the shot. He drops it to Petrasso. Back to Vasquez. What are we doing? We're just lobbing the ball back and forth. Here we go. On the corner. Who's taking it? Petrasso. He's going to send it in. Johnson. Probably not Johnson. It's probably Johansson. Headed it out of there. So this is kind of what it's been like all preseason. Just, you know, dominating lesser teams. Normally, I play a very tough preseason. So this will be, you know, I guess a test to see how well we're going to be prepared for the opening of the season. Because usually we play pretty well at the beginning of the season. We're fit. We're battle-tested. But sometimes we got injuries, and sometimes we're not quite as physically fit as we should be. You know, match fit, yes, but physically fit, maybe not. So the fact that this offseason we're stressing all of our physical fundamentals here and playing a lot of, you know, scrimmages, essentially. Here's Petrasso, gets it forward to Vasquez. He's apparently onside. Yep. Puts that finishing footwork to use. Just a terrible turnover at midfield. Petrasso to Johnson. Back to Petrasso. There's an easy pass. Boy, he looked offside, but what are you going to do? The linesman maybe was out of position there. I don't know. I don't know what that was about, but it wasn't good for old KV. Leon Arner Heitman is injured. They've substituted out their whole squad. We've hardly substituted anybody. 60 minutes. Is there anybody else we want to bring in? I guess we bring in Delgado for Valo. Bosic, the guy they've all been coming here to see, I guess. Bring him in. Sanadabo, one of our new recruits. Bring him in there. Do we want to look at the number 1 draft pick? You want to look at the number 1 draft pick, Valenzuela? Sure, we'll bring him in for Vasquez. Vasquez got his goal. We'll bring in Valenzuela. Make a mass substitution here. There's Delgado with the throw-in. Chevalier's still back there. Ortiz gets it out wide to Leonard. He's on the run. Sends it back post. Petrasso. Easy goal. Defense just standing around. They got some big dudes on that back line there, but they just stood there like trees. Here's the replay. All starts with Chevalier. Good pass to Ortiz. Ortiz, nice vision out wide to Leonard, and then he just bangs it across, and Petrasso just beats the defense. They're standing there, not marking their man whatsoever. There's Bjornsson. Again, that letter. What is that letter? Please help me. do not recognize that letter. Rabat, nice steal. Gets it out wide to Leonard. Leonard's been making several plays this game. It was not the greatest pass in the world, but, you know, Valenzuela made it work. He's not a passer. That's not really his forte. He's a get forward and score goals. There's the big man, Bosic. 6'6" fullback out there. He probably should be playing central defense, as has been mentioned in the comments before, but kind of need him at fullback, so we're playing him out there. Delgado, Leonard. Here's Dabo. See what kind of pass he's going to make. Okay, not too thrilling. There's Valenzuela using that speed to get to the ball. Johnson back post. Can't give him a ball at the doorstep like that. So Valenzuela already knows where his bread is buttered. Get the ball to Johnson and let him score. Ortiz just bangs it forward. Valenzuela across the goal. Johnson beats two men. They looked rather disinterested. They got a pretty bad ratings going on in their back line. 5'9" for their fullback. That's no good. Petrasso on the free kick to Ortiz, who heads it on. Goalkeeper's lucky that was wide, because he looked fairly pathetic going for that ball. Don't know what else to say. 75 minutes in, they've got 3 shots to our 19. 38% possession to our 62. So, yeah. Not looking so good. I don't know why I have these set to the exact same thing. I've had it like that for I don't know how long. I guess we could look at their formation. Their formation has not changed. Here's Delgado. Gets it into Leonard. Again, Leonard's had a lot of activity this game out on that right wing. Ortiz gets it down to Valenzuela. There's the #1 draft pick. Gets his goal at the 85th minute. Look at that crowd going wild. Icelandic fans are having a good time. And, you know, here it is. Leonard. I don't know what to say at this point. It's too easy. It's too easy. I'm not used to this in the preseason. I'm used to much more of a test. Especially in the games that I would show you. Like, normally I wouldn't show you this game. But we just passed the transfer window, and we were just able to bring in Boyce. Ah, there's Rabat. Nice cross. Offside, Rabat. Come on, buddy. You had your moment in the limelight. That was a very nice play. Petrasso's going to try to get it in again. Well, it says Johnson. I'm pretty sure that name is Johnson. Just a couple of extra letters. Valenzuela just sort of chips one towards the goal. Leonard's a little tired out there on the right wing, but at this point, there's no point in subbing him out. Jonasson is their goalkeeper. Did they switch their goalkeepers? I think they did. There's Bosic getting his boot on the ball. Petrasso's made quite a few plays as well. Haven't seen much from Dabo in the second half. What did he end up doing? Let's take a look at the dressing room. How did Dabo end up playing? He was uninterested by the end of the match. 6.8 rating. That's okay. Leonard got the player of the match with a 9.3 rating. Excuse me, in the second half. 2 assists. Petrasso, 8.8. Valenzuela and Johnson with 7.9, 7.5. So everybody played pretty well. You know, first team, second team, everybody. Well, our worst player was Mendy, only getting a 6.5 rating. But, you know, he was limping around a little bit, so you got to give him a little bit of a slack. All right, get out of here. Get out of here. End pep talk. Let's go. So we don't have a ton left to do in this preseason. Got a couple of friendlies. We're going to play against Wilmington. I think this was a friendly that we had to arrange because we traded for one of their players or something. No. Wilmington Hammerheads. They're an amateur team. I don't know why we're playing these guys. We're not their affiliate. Oh, yeah, we are. That's new. All right, so Wilmington's our affiliate. Who knew? Why? I don't know. We'll never send any players to their team because they're an amateur team. So I don't know what that's all about. Board going a little wacky. But anyway, yeah, we're going to play Wilmington, then Richmond, then Sacramento's a halfway decent lower division team, but still shouldn't have much problem against them. And then we'll come back for the MLS season preview, and we'll play the Seattle Sounders for the first game of the season. So that's it. We're ending it. We're getting out of here. So until then, until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.